Okay, well, you could have used technology, but no need, because 3.6x, sorry, Crystal?
Is it okay if I didn't write anything down since I plugged it on? I didn't understand if you wanted me to draw it on there, what I saw on the calculator.
No, I just wanted you, yeah, that would have been what you would needed to do.
I probably should have done that.
Negative 5.3y is greater than or equal to negative 3.6x minus 26, yeah? And then y is less than or equal to, because I'm dividing by a negative, 3.6 over 5.3, because negative and a negative make a positive, x, plus 26 divided by 5.3. Then if you were going to graph it, 26 divided by 5 is pretty much 5, right? 5. 3.6 over 5.3 is pretty much 4 over 5, right? So 4/5. So I would have dropped down 5 and come out 4. So it would have been that, and since it was less than, well, 3.6 rounds up to 4, 5.3 rounds down to 5. So I drop 5 and I run, oh, sorry, it was positive. Sorry, it's positive slope. Sorry. So it would have come out to negative 4 and gone like that. And it would have been 0, 0, plus 30 is greater than 4, so 0. So it still would have shaded over here. Anybody else? Going once. Going twice. What? 4D. Okay. 3y equals x plus 8. Y equals 1/3 x plus 8/3. 8/3 is 2 1/3. So I go up to 2 1/3. And it's a slope of up 1 to 3 1/3, out 3 to 3 1/3, 3. There's the line. Check your checkpoint. 0, 0. 0 minus 0. Is 0 greater than 8? No. So you can't color over 0, 0, so you color over here. Girly. 3e. I hope you're all seeing that no matter what you ask, it's always exactly the same thing, right? 3e. I bet it's going to be similar. Express y in terms of x, get the slope and the y-intercept, and indicate if the boundary should be solid or dashed. 3e. 5y equals negative 4x plus 20. Y equals negative 4/5 x plus 4. Y-intercept is 4, slope is negative 4/5, and since there's an equal sign, it's a solid line. What do you mean? You go up to 4, 4, and you go down 4 and out 5. But what did you do that was different than what I just did? You put your slope there, or your y-intercept there. Your slope is 4/5. So you rose negative 4, and you ran positive 5. Then you had 2 dots, and you just connected them. You got it? Okay. Anybody else? I bet your question has to do with isolating y and drawing a line. Nobody else? So everybody did all 3 word problems because you're all trying to get the A, right? Okay. We can move it along then. Quadratic inequalities. You guys are smart kids. Linear inequalities graph the line. What will a quadratic inequality graph? A parabola. There is only one variable. So is this something we would be graphing? No, why? Because there's two variables. Is that something we would be graphing? Yes, which means every single answer has to be what? Every single answer to this would have to be what? It's the only variable we have there. X. So every single answer when there's one variable must be some value of x. Yes? Excellent. Now, examples of quadratic inequalities. We've already seen quadratics, right? What are some things in math class that we have seen that we are able to model with quadratics? What are some things we have used quadratics for? Joe? Motion, right? It's got to be motion, yes? And we've got a million of those examples, right? We had the throwing the ball, riding the bike, hitting the tennis ball, right? Motion is what we use quadratics for, mostly, yeah? Right? So we could write lots of examples. Anything to do with motion. Anything that's got limits and motion, yeah? Everybody cool? Riding a roller coaster would have this, wouldn't it? Because you have to get up to a certain speed, or what happens? Do you finish the ride? No. Right? If you don't make that minimum speed, you're not finishing the ride. Yeah? If you skydive and you pull your chute too late, what happens? Well, you bounce. But there's some splatting involved as well. Yeah? All of that is motion. So all of those are quadratic inequalities, yes? Because up to a certain point, you're okay, aren't you? But if you go past that point, you're not okay anymore. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So examples are usually to do with a range of motion. Because there's often limits involved. Now, we've already talked about a linear inequality, yeah? Boom, 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 boom. Right? That is what we did yesterday. How many variables are involved there? 2, x and y. That's why it's going diagonally, yeah? Right? Okay, good. When there's only one variable in a linear inequality, it looks like this. Right? One variable, yeah? So what's the answer to that? Pardon me? X is greater than -7. And on a graph, it looks like this. -7, like that, yeah? So when there's one variable, it's always going to be a straight line. Even if it's a parabola. Everybody cool? So, because we've only one variable, all our answers today must be x something, right? Because we have no y's. What's our y every single time? 0, right? So I don't care about what y values are because they're always 0. Is everybody good? Yeah, yeah, yeah? Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Now, you're smart kids. There is, I lie. Don't do this. If I were to graph that, you know it's going to be a parabola. Why? Because it's in standard form, there's an exponent of 2, yeah? So you know it's going to be a parabola, right? Now, because it is not a regular everyday parabola, y equals x squared, you know the vertex is going to move away from 0, 0, yes? Okay, so if I were to ask you to graph that, how would you graph it? What would you do with that in order to graph it? What are some options you have from the last unit we just did? I don't care which one you use, just give me one. Preston. You could put it into vertex form by completing the square. Is this a good candidate for it? No. Why? Because it's an odd number. So we could do it, but we don't want to, because fractions make us... What else could we do? Satcho. You could try to find the roots. What are our options to finding roots? Quadratic formula or factoring. Does one of those... Which one will always work? Quadratic formula. Which one's shorter if it'll work? Does this factor? What is it? Of course it factors. X minus 4 and x plus 1, yes? So that gives us roots. Agreed? Is it a happy or a sad parabola? Happy. So you'll notice I have given you the roots right here, yes? I'm saving you problems by giving you the graph. I'm not going to do this again. I just want you to see it. Now, since I know is a happy parabola, and I know I don't care about the y's because I've only got one variable, does it really matter where I put my vertex? As long as it's in the right spot, yeah? Or near the right spot. Everybody follow me? So I just got to put the vertex in the middle here because I don't care about the y values, right? But just to remind you, how do I find the vertex? Root 1 plus root 2 divided by 2. And in this case, that answer is 1/2, yeah? Negative 4 plus 1. 4 plus negative 1 is 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5. Right? And then I look. 1.5. Oh, yeah, there it is. And my vertex is negative 6 1/4, I believe it is. But that doesn't really matter, does it? So there's my graph. Is everybody happy with that? Yeah? All right. Now let's go back to here. In green, I want where that parabola is greater than 0. Where do you think that is? Where on this graph do you think this parabola, which is this line, where would you say it is greater than 0? I haven't told you where it is. I want to see if you can puzzle it out. Satjot. On the right of what point? On the right of the 0 line. On the right of the 0 or on the right of the 0 line? On the right of the 0. Which 0? Or do you mean this 0? I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, so that was one guess. Somewhere that side of x equals 0. All right. Do we have another guess? I'm not saying if he's right or wrong. I just want to hear your opinions. Joseph. Only in the top right quadrant. So all of this. Okay, that's a second guess. I'm not saying if it's right or wrong. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to try this again. Oh, Rajveer. In the middle of the parabola, so your guess is in here. Pardon me? Okay. All right, I'm going to try this again. Is there going to be answers that are not x here? Of course not. Why will all the answers have to be x's? Because there's no y. The only variable is x, right? So I only need to look at which axis? The x-axis. Everyone agree? All right. So I'm going to highlight the x-axis with a big old blue line. So all my answers have to be on that x-axis. All right? The parabola is the black line. right? If the x-axis is where the answers must live, then I must have to choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, yes? Does everybody agree with me there? I have to choose an x value, agreed? Okay. Somebody say an x value that is on this graph. 4? Excellent. All right, so 4 is on there. What is the output value when I enter 4? No, you don't need your calculator. When I say 4 as an input value, because it's an x value, what is the output value? 0. Is 0 greater than 0? No. Somebody give me another x value. 3. When I input 3, what is the output value? Negative 4. So if I input 3, 9 minus 9 minus 4, is minus 4 greater than 0? No. So 3 is not going to be an appropriate answer. Somebody give me another value. 1? Thank you, Henry. 5. When I input 5, what is my output value?
6.
Is that greater than 0? So, I'll ask again. Where on this graph is the parabola greater than 0? Well, this is the top right quadrant. So not quite. Pardon me, Aaron? Everywhere here. And anywhere else? Here. Why? I'm just looking at it. How do I know? Because no matter what I say for x from here on out, what is my y value going to be? Greater than 0. Does everybody understand? So, when the greater than is true, how can we put this into easy to understand words? What would you say is the reason that this and this are my answers? What is the parabola doing there that it is not doing in the middle here? Because this is obviously wrong. You all have eyes. What is the parabola doing once it hits 4 and once it hits negative 2 that it is not doing in the middle? How? What part of it is greater than 0? Pardon me? The y values, right? The parabola is bigger than 0. The parabola is bigger than 0. So for what x values is this true? If x is greater than what? Okay, I've jumped too many steps. What are the two numbers that are very important to this parabola? Negative 2 and 4. I only need x values. For what x values is that parabola greater than 0? Where is 0? What line is giving me 0 for an output? X-axis. So where is the parabola greater than 0? Where is greater, above or below? So where is the parabola greater than the value you have assigned as 0, which is the x-axis? No, the y-axis is not part of the parabola. I don't know how to make this simpler. Do you all see that the parabola is graphed there? Excellent. Do you all understand that this value is 0? Do you all understand that values on a graph that go up from 0 are greater than 0? Excellent. So I will ask again, where does the parabola start being greater than 0? Above the x-axis. When does the parabola cross into the region above the x-axis? When it is where? Above 4. How do I write that? X is greater than 4. Does it happen at any other time? When? When x is less than -2. This means my input must yield a result of greater than 0. For my input to yield that result, my parabola must be above the x-axis. Because you can quite plainly see, if I am here, my output is not greater than 0. It is -2. Do you understand? So in that case, when is this true? When not the input, because the input has to be a range of, or a domain, right? So what am I looking at? I know my answers have to be x's because I only have one variable. And I know that my x's have to get me a result that is lower than 0. Where are my results lower than 0? Inside, which is right here. How do I write that? X is greater than -2, and is that how we write that? How do we write it? Because you were all in grade 10, you know how to write domains. -2 is less than x, which is less than 4. All right? Wow. Okay. Let's try to put this all together. Parabolas in one variable mean all the answers are x, right? Right? Okay. X is the input. How you make a parabola is by doing math to the input, yes? Everyone agrees? So, if I take an input and I do some math, I will get an output. Does everybody understand? Everyone agrees? And that output is a y value, right? Okay, so what I'm asking you now is when will the input, x squared plus bx plus c, there's my input plus math, when it will be greater than 0. So when my output is greater than 0. My output are y values, yes? Where on a graph do outputs greater than 0 live? Above the x-axis. Where do outputs less than 0 live? Below the x-axis. And you can tell that just by looking. Yeah? Everybody cool? Now, let me ask you this, because that didn't go as smoothly as I was hoping it would. What is that blue one? That is g of x. When is g of x greater than 0? When it's above the x-axis. When is it above the x-axis? Pardon me? When x is less than -2? -2x and less than 4. And when is the g of x less than 0? X is less than -2 and x is greater than 4. Because the outputs are all negative there. Does everybody understand? I don't know what I said that made it confusing. I feel bad. I thought it was pretty self-explanatory. I apologize to you all, but is everybody okay now? Priya. Oh, yeah, sorry. We wrote 2 the whole time, because I see the 2 here. Yeah, that's the type of thing. Even though we wrote 1 here, what an idiot. 1, -1, -1, -1. The 2 is right there. It's right beside the dot. I'm looking at the graph. What a moron. Now I feel bad. All right, let's try and fix it up proper like. Quadratic inequality right there. Let's pretend the first page didn't happen. Let's graph this one. So just like yesterday, we need a boundary line, right? And the boundary line isn't an inequality. The boundary line is an equality, right? Just like yesterday. So our boundary line, the difference today is our boundary line is a parabola. How will I graph that? What are my options? What are my options? Vertex form, factor, quadratic formula, negative b over 2a finds me the vertex, and then I have no a value, so I could count. Right? 4 options. What's the easiest one to work with? In this case, again, it is factoring. Why? Because it factors. What are the factors for here? X minus 3, x plus 2. Do we agree? Okay, so now what are the zeros of this parabola? Positive 3 and negative 2. Is it a happy or a sad parabola? It is a happy parabola, yes? So all that matters is that it's going to go like this, right? Does this vertex actually matter when I only have one variable? No, it doesn't. Why? Why does the vertex not matter when I only have one variable? Because what don't I care about? I don't care about y's, right? Okay. How many zeros does our function have? 2 zeros, which means our x-axis is cut into 3 pieces, yes? Okay. I want you to color the x-axis for where the inequality is true. Where is my inequality? Where is the inequality that we are with which we are working? Is it here in yellow? No, because that's an equality. So where is it? Right above it. What am I seeking? Greater than or less than? Less than. Where is that dark pink parabola less than 0. None of you need a calculator for this. You're just looking. Where is it less than 0? What line is 0 for an output? The x-axis. There is my 0, because right there is where y equals 0. Where is my output less than 0? Below the x-axis. Where is that? Inside the parabola. So I'm going to color it with yellow. Where is that? Inside the parabola. Now, write some inequalities to show the values of x. What are the values of x that I am allowed to have here? Can I have x equals negative 32? Why not? Because it's not inside the parabola. Can I have x equals negative 3? No, why not? What is the first value I could possibly have? Negative 2. But can I have negative 2? Why not? Because it doesn't equal 0. So I must approach, but can I touch negative 2? No. So x must be what? Greater than negative 2. Right? Agreed? Okay. Is there an upper limit? What is it? Positive 3. X must also be what? Less than 3. Those are my two inequalities, yes? If I were to put them on a number line, where is negative 2? Right there, negative 2. Where is positive 3? Where are the only place I can have these values? How do I write that properly? The same way I did domain from grade 10. I have colored in part of the x-axis, so how do I write it? Negative 2 is less than x, but x is less than 3. Everybody good? All we are doing is the exact same thing you did last year with domain and range, except you're only looking at a small portion of the function. Is everybody okay? All right, let's look at the next one. Let's graph it. How will we graph it? You decide how to graph it while I make my axes. How will we graph this guy? Factoring again, yes? So what is it? What is it? X minus 2 and x minus 2. Hey, wait a minute. How many zeros are there? 1. Where does it live? At positive 2. Happy or a sad parabola? Happy. Any a values? No, so we could graph it if we really wanted to, yeah? Right? We could graph it properly. But does it really matter? Because what's going to happen here? It's going to go where? Where's it going to go? Pardon me? It's going to go, but where? Yeah, it's going to make a parabola shape off the 2, yes? Does it matter how I graph it? No, because what am I seeking? When the parabola is greater than 0, yes? Where is the parabola greater than 0? Everywhere above the x-axis, yes? So, is all this okay? Is all this okay? What about 2? Why not? Because 2 equals 0, right? So, how do I do that? What's my inequality? What's the lowest x I can have? Negative infinity. What's the highest x I can have? Is there anything I can't have? So, negative infinity less than x, positive infinity. But there's a restriction, and we've seen restrictions. What can x not be? Easy peasy, right? Everybody understands the concept, yeah? What if this was a sad parabola right there? Could you even answer the question? Are there any values that work for a sad parabola there? Why not? Because it's wholly negative. It's never greater than 0, is it? Are we all good? Now, you have to use your own words. There is 3D. There is 2D. How did you come up with your answers to 2D and 3D? In your words, because if I write them, you're not going to remember them. What do you do to come up with those inequalities? Take a moment and do that while I turn my kettle back on so I can have some more tea. You all just told me you understood how we got those inequalities. So, tell me how you got those inequalities. Preston. I was hanging out with my buddy's kids last night, and they're Patton. He's Patton. If it equals, what is different? What's the only thing that changes? It's a solid line. Does anything else change? Is it still these? Great. What if I had... Why does it never change color? ax squared plus bx plus c is less than 0. Now where is it? And where is that? In the middle, right there. And then, of course, if it was less than or equal to 0, it would be the same thing. Everybody's cool? Everybody's cool now? Okay, now I want you, and I should have done this on the left. What would you say if all of those were now negative? You guys fill that in. Just do it with greater than and equal to and less than and equal to, so you don't have to do dotted lines. What would it look like? I'll use 2 different colors, so I have 2 different lines. What's that one going to look like? What's the red one going to look like? Well, they're both going to make the same sad parabola, yes? Where is the red part? It's going to be in the middle. Why, Satjot? Because that's where the parabola is above the x-axis. Where's the green going to be? Below, which starts where? After the root and goes where? Greater than that root and less than that root. Are we all good? Okay, let's apply without the steps. Solve this. Tell me the answers. First method is graphing. So, how do I do it? Think of all my options I could use to graph that function. What do you want to use? Does it factor? So should we use factoring if it factors? Okay, what is it? X minus 3, x plus 1, yeah? So that gives me the important points. What are they? Positive 3 and negative 1. Does everyone agree? Happy or sad parabola? Does anything else matter? No. Since I know it's happy, I know it's going to come down, hit somewhere down there, and then go up there, yes? What do I care about according to my question? When it is what? Less than? Right. So I need where the x values will give me a result of less than 0. Where do those x values live? Where? Right. So where is the parabola below the x-axis? Oops, I got to change colors. There to there, yes? How do I write that? Negative 1 is less than x. Can it equal x? In this one? Yes. And x is less than or equal to 3. Does everybody get it? Yeah? Everybody? 100%? It's just by looking, right? Obviously, these values are lower than 0 because every y answer there is lower than 0. Is everybody cool? Yeah? Okay, that's the easiest one to do when a couple of things come together to the party for you. One, it factors. If it factors, we can graph it in 2 seconds, yeah? So if it factors, go ahead, graph it. Because vertex, none of that matters, right? Go ahead and graph it. But is there a chance you won't find the roots easily? Yeah. Is there a chance that it won't factor? Yeah. So then we want some other methods to solve this problem, okay? And that's what we're going to do on this sheet. The principle follows, right? The concept is still going to be there. So method 2, we have roots and test points. We've already done the roots. And remember, you can do this with anything, as long as you know the roots. What were the roots we had here? What were the roots? 3 and negative 1, yes? So root 1 equaled 3, root 2 equaled negative 1. Agreed? Now, since I only care about x's, I only need one number line, right? Everybody with me? What are the numbers that are important on that number line right now? Negative 1 and 3. Everyone agree? Now remember, we're not graphing. We're going to do this strictly with algebra. Okay? So, have we mapped out our roots? Okay? Which means, are there not an infinite amount of values over here? Say one of them. Negative 3. Everybody agree? Are there not an infinite amount of values in here? Well, sure there is, because it's infinity between 0 and 1, right? But there's an infinite amount of values in there as well, right? Choose one of them. Thank you for choosing 0. Well done. 0. Are there an infinite amount of values out here? Choose one of them. 4. Why do you guys do this? Is this an x or a y value? It's an x value. What do you see right here? X. So what are you going to do with that negative 3? You're going to sub it in like we've been doing since the 10th grade, yes? So, negative 3 squared minus 2 times negative 3 minus 3 has to be what? Less than or equal to 0, yes? Well, let's check. Is it? What's negative 3 squared? 9. What's negative 2 times negative 3? Positive 6 minus 3. Is 9 plus 6 minus 3, what is that? 12. Is 12 less than 0? No. So are any of these values going to be okay? No. Everybody cool? Let's check with 0. 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 3 less than or equal to 0. Is negative 3 less than or equal to 0? Yes. So are all of these values okay? Yes. Sorry, I'm using the highlighter. Now, you're smart kids. Because we graphed it first, we already know that these aren't going to work, right? Right? But shh, yes. Yes. What is 4 squared minus 2 times 4 minus 3? 4 squared minus 8 minus 3. What is it? 5. Is 5 less than 0? No. So are any of these values okay? No. So we can see that because we're only seeking an x, we can do this with just the number line and test points. Everybody cool? If you don't want to graph it, you don't like graphing, you can do it with just the roots. Okay? And then we have the third method. I don't like the third method. I find it cumbersome, and I find it confusing. But I must show it to you. Must you use it? No, you mustn't. Can you use it? Yes, you can. Some of you may say, oh yeah, that makes way more sense to me. I'm okay with that. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean you gotta like it. I don't like radishes, but some of you might. Right? I only like radishes on tacos. In every other guise of the radish, I don't want any part of it. But on a taco, it's quite lovely. Everybody cool? So, you're smart kids. That's our factored option, yes? Excellent. I need this product to be less than 0. If I have factor 1 times factor 2, and I need my answer to be less than 0, what are the only ways that that can happen? Factor 1 has to be what? Negative, and then factor 2 would have to be what? Excellent. Is there another way it could happen? We're getting to that. Yes, don't worry. I hear what you're asking. I process it. I hear what you're asking. Trust me. Keep that thought because I'm positive I hear what you're asking. What is the other way this could be true? No, because if one of them was 0, this would equal 0. If this guy's negative, this guy has to be positive. What is the other option? First guy is, and the second guy is, everybody knows that, yes? Well, what do I have here? Is that factor 1? Is that factor 2? So, in option 1, factor 1 is negative. Everyone agrees? Everyone sees that, yes? So, x plus 1 is less than or equal to 0. So, x is less than or equal to what? Negative 1. Everybody cool? Negative 1. Color, draw. Yeah? Okay. What is the other choice there? X minus 3 is greater than or equal to 0, which means x is greater than or equal to 3, which I've given you right here, yes? 3. Yeah? Does everyone agree? Okay. Is there anywhere on those two number lines where they are sharing numbers? If I brought this red line down here, Does it share any numbers with the black line? No. Does everyone see that? I'm not sure if you do. I think you're lying to me. What are all the numbers? If I put them on the same number line, will there be any overlap? Is that better? Is there any overlap? Are there any numbers available where both of these cases are true? So this must be wrong. Right? Watch what happens when we do it the other way. So now I've flipped it around. So we're not going to do all the work because it's right here, yes? So we're going to make this the red line now. How would I draw that? Trying to draw a straight line. How would I draw that? What's the line I need? -1. Color it in, and which way does the arrow go? Right. Everyone agree? Everyone agree? Okay. And what's the other one? What's the other one? 3. Color it. And where does that line go? What do you see now? Is there an overlap? Where does that overlap exist? Between 3 and 1. Where did that overlap exist? Between 3 and 1. Where did that overlap exist? Between 3 and 1. 3 methods to solve it. You choose the ones you like. All right? You do this one using any 2 of the 3. Now, of course, once you've done it once, you know the answer, right? So suspend your disbelief and then do it again with the other method, right? Just like when you watch, a Spider-Man movie, you recognize that dudes can't crawl up walls. You suspend your disbelief. Just like when you watch a horror movie and the idiot goes into the basement, right? He's gonna die, like that Geico commercial. Let's hide in this shed full of running chainsaws. Have you seen that ad? Oh, it was a good ad. It was at Halloween. Bunch of teenagers stumbling through a cornfield. And they're like, oh my God, we have to get away. And one girl runs by a car that is started with the keys in, doors open, lights on. Why don't we get in this car and drive away? And the rest of the group says, no, that's crazy. Let's go hide in that spooky house. So they go into the spooky house. Right? And then when they go into the house, they're like, they hear some noise. Oh, let's go hide in that. Should we leave? No, let's go hide in that shed full of running chainsaws. And there's all these hanging chains. Right? It's funny. You got to see it. I'm not going to show it to you because we're running low on time. Go. I don't want to influence you. So I am going to do all 3. And it's going to be recorded. Okay? Now, if you're like me, when I was 16, I didn't really get the third method. The case analysis was tough for my brain to process. Are you like me? Is the third one what's messing you up? Okay, so here's all three. Find the roots. I know it's happy, so I know it dips between the roots, and I needed less than 0. Easy peasy, right? Is everybody okay with 1, graphing? You can all see that now. It actually tells you where it's below 0. You don't even have to think about it. You can see that this is below 0, right? Everyone is good? Okay. Does everybody get number 2? It's exactly what we did yesterday. We choose test points and sub them in. And if it works, then everything in that group works. Everybody cool with the second one? Find the roots and sub them in, yeah? Okay. This one, you have 2 choices. Either the first one is negative and the second one is positive, or the first one is positive and the second one is negative. You just put them on number lines and see where it's shared. This one, everybody had to be less than 0, everyone had to be greater than 8. Nothing is shared. On this one, I could go up from 2 and down from 8. It's not shared out here and it's not shared out here, but it is shared in there. Okay? We're going to do one more together, and then I'm going to get you to do one by yourself, and that's going to be your homework for 4 days. Yeah! Notice which one I do not let you do in example 2. What am I not letting you do? I'm not letting you graph it, am I? So let's do this thing. Step 1. If I'm going to use roots and test point, it tells me what to do. I need the roots. Find the roots of this. Does it factor? Yes or no? Yes. What's coming out? Negative x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. Now, can I factor that? What is it? X minus 3 x plus 3 and x. Right? Right? Okay. So now that gives me my number line. What numbers need to go on my number line? Negative 3 and positive 4, which splits my x-axis up into how many groups? 3 groups. So I have to check how many spots? 3 spots. The red spot out here, what number could that be? Negative? Sure. Negative 4. What number could that be? 0. What number could that be? 5. Then we just check. What is negative 4 plus 3? Negative 1. What is negative 4 minus 4? Negative 8. And all that is negative, yes? Because I got a negative out in front. Right? Right? And all that has to be less than 0. What is negative 1 times negative 8? Positive 8. What is positive 8 with a negative in front of it? Negative 8. Is negative 8 less than 0? So does number 4 give me a value that is less than 0? So does that mean everything over here does? Yes. So all of this is Gouda, right? So we know that x could be less than negative 3. Yeah? Now, once we know that, we actually know the rest, don't we? Because we know what a parabola looks like, right? What happens at the 0? It switches over, right? So is this going to work? No, we don't even need to check it, do we? But I'm a math teacher, so are we going to check it? Of course we are. What's 0 plus 3? What's 0 minus 4? Negative 4. What's negative 3? Negative 4 times 3. Negative 12. What's negative 12 with the negative out in front of it? 12. Is 12 less than 0? No! Garbage. What about 5? What is 5 plus 3? 8. 5 plus 3. Guy. What is 5 minus 4? 1. And all that has a negative. What's 8 times 1? 8. With a negative in front of it. Is negative 8 less than 0? Yes. So is all of this okay? So what's my answer? X is less than negative 3 or greater than 4, because I'm going to the right. Right, Jasleen? Everybody cool? Everybody can do roots and test points? Everybody can already graph, even though some of you think 5 plus 3 is 15? Way to go, Jasleen. You tell them. Tell the world. The rent has got to be paid. Right, Jasleen? All right. Now let's do the one everybody sucks at. What is the first factor? Negative x minus 3. Yes? Right? What is the second factor? X plus 4. Yes? And they had to be less than 0, which means this has to be positive and this has to be positive. Son of a... Positive. And this has to be negative, yes? Everyone agrees? So this negative x minus 3 would have to be greater than or equal to 0, yes? Everyone agrees? Get rid of that negative. I divide by negative 1, correct? Now, x minus 3 is what? Less than or equal to 0. So x has to be less than or equal to 3. Right? Then what do we do with the blue one? X plus 4 had to be negative. So that's less than 0, yes? So x had to be what? Less than what? Negative 4. Is everybody cool there? That's case 1, right? In case 2, what does this one have to be? Negative. And what does this one have to be? Positive, right? So that's case 1. Let's do case 2. Negative x minus 3 has to be less than or equal to 0. X minus 3 has to be greater than or equal to 0. X has to be greater than or equal to 3. Everybody follows me, yes? It's the exact same thing we just hear. You all said you followed me. Everybody good? What? Okay. And then x plus 4 has to be positive now, which is greater than 0. So x has to be greater than negative 4. Is everybody cool with our cases now? So now I need how many lines? 4 lines, right, Zach? Because I got this line right here in red. 3 that way. Agreed? Agreed? Okay. Then I got the blue line. Negative 4 that way. Agreed? Then I got the green line. 3 that way. Agreed? And then I got the, I think it's gray is the last one. The gray line. Negative 4 that way. Agreed? Doesn't matter. Because In the original equation, it's that. It's negative, or it's just less than. Right? Is everybody cool? Okay. Where do I have what I seek? We already know what the answer is because we did the other one, right? Less than negative 4. Greater than negative 4. Where do I seek? No, wait. I can't remember. Am I less than 0 or greater than 0? Less than 0. So where is my... Where do I have negatives? Where is there shared stuff? Is there anything shared here? Yes. Once I hit negative 4, it's shared, right? Is there anything shared here? Right. What? So, greater than 4, which was, where's my greater than 4s? Did I write those wrong? Did you guys let me write all those wrong? You guys let me write all of this wrong. How many eyes do you have? Times how many? 60. There are 60 eyes in this room. You just let me write all of that wrong because it was off the screen. Hey, Harsh, do you see that? Hey, Harsh, all you do is talk to Manroop all the time. Hey, Harsh, want to tell me I'm screwing it up so I don't do a whole 20 minutes of work and confuse everybody? What if I told you your notes are now worth all of your grade? Would every single one of you start be paying attention and making sure you got your extra half mark? Yes or no? Now you have 2 bits of homework. Fix that and do the next one. Yeah, go. You'll just do the same amount of homework you always do. Not you, kids in general, Jasleen.